In our last video, we discussed, music technology in the broadest terms and the way it relates, to human experience, across millennia. In this video, what we're going to do is drill down a little bit further, just into the 20th century, and explore the history of music technology, thinking about some of the devices, some of the characters, and some of the social movements that kind of emerged around that technology. And that part of our course is going to be unpacked through a segment that you'll have, Stephen, called Musical Revolutionaries.
Yes, that's right, Luke. The first one, we're going to look at Leon Theremin, or Lev Theremin, who was a Russian revolutionary, a spy, and the inventor of one of the most fascinating electronic musical instruments ever built. And that really initiated the whole idea that an electronic musical instrument was a viable way of making music.
And moving on from that, we've got Robert Moog and Don Buchla in the 1960s developing the Moog and the Buchla modular synthesizers, which essentially allowed any musician to produce any sound.
In the 60s as well, there are a number of performance movements that grew around some of these performance instruments too. So groups like Musica Electronica Viva, for example, with this fairly radical idea of a circuit board which you'd build and then improvise on, and that circuit board would actually become the composition.
Yes, that's right. I was just thinking actually of Louis and Baby Baron, pioneers who built their own circuits to make the music for that classic sci-fi movie, Forbidden Planet.
And thinking of circuits, moving on towards the 1980s, where we saw the burgeoning rise of different electronic artists, DJs, and then different controllers to play those instruments that they were using on stage. And I guess furthering into the field of wearables like Imogen Heap and the full body musical control system.
One of the things I find really fascinating is turntablism, where you're actually taken a piece of technology that was designed for playing back recorded sound and turning it into a performance instrument.
So if we think about the history of music technology over the last 100 years, there are really three arcs that we've touched on. There's performance, there's recording and broadcasting, and there's the synthesis of new sound. And over the coming weeks, learners will get an opportunity, not only to explore these things, theoretically, and we'll unpack these topics a lot more, but to develop their own work and sort of share these with the online community.
And we've created an interactive timeline that will allow learners to explore the history of music technology over the past 100 years or so. And this, I think, is going to be a really invaluable resource for people to understand how we've arrived at where we are today.
Yeah, and it's going to be really exciting to listen to all the projects that everyone produces.